Hey everyone! Welcome to part 4 of creating an OnlyUp game in Bonfire. OnlyUp is a trending 3D platformer where your mission is to climb to the top and avoid falling. If you haven't seen parts 1 to 3 yet, I recommend watching them by clicking on the links below. In this tutorial, we're going to dive deeper into the behaviors that create our castle traps: wandering robots, rotating logs, teleportation, and finally, how to change chapters to transition to our ending scene. At this point, I'm confident you know the fundamentals of dragging and dropping sparks. Therefore, we will skip that part and focus more on how to implement the behaviors. Let's get started. First, we'll show the touch to lower the chains text when the player approaches the pointer spark. To do this, select the spark, go to the causes drop-down list, select approached, and click the plus icon to add it to our behavior. Now, on the same spark, head over to the effects drop-down list and find the converse effect. Perfect. Let's add some values. Set the approach node's distance to 1, check the player checkbox, and also check the one-shot checkbox, meaning this will trigger only once. In the converse node, enter touch to lower the chains in the message box and set the time to 4. This means the dialogue will pop up for 4 seconds before it disappears. Let's connect them and run our test. Now, when the player approaches the pointer within a radius of 1, the dialogue pops up. Next, let's lower the chain when the pointer is interacted with. Select the pointer and check its interactable trait, which allows the spark to accept interactions. In the causes drop-down list, find interacted and hit the plus icon. Then select the chains and use the move behavior to lower them down. I won't go into detail on the move behavior since we covered that in part 3 of the tutorial. Let's test it. When the player presses E in front of the pointer spark, the chain should move down. Awesome! Moving on to the moving spikes obstacle, when the player touches the spikes, they will be teleported back to the entrance. This is achieved using a portal spark, which can be found in the Sparks folder, then in the Environment folder. I'll go ahead and place the portal spark where we want the player to respawn. Then select the spike, go to the Behaviors tab, and add the collided cause. Also select the portal spark and add the teleport effect. Connect the collided cause of the spike to the portal spark's teleport behavior and set the destination of the portal spark to the same portal. With this setup, when the player touches the spike, they will be teleported to where our teleport spark is. This completes our castle trap stage. Now, let's move on to the ladder part of Bonfire Up. Here, the player moves up when interacting with the ladder. The trick is to have an invisible box, let's say a primitive box, and move it up when the ladder is interacted with. I won't show the steps, as I'm confident you know how to do this by now. A quick tip to make a spark invisible: just go to the Traits tab and find the color traits, then change the A or alpha to 0, which will make the color transparent. Next up are the wandering robots. These NPCs walk in a pattern, and when touched, the player gets teleported back to the entrance. We already covered the basics of Portal Spark earlier, so now I'll show you how the NPCs can walk randomly. To make the NPCs walk randomly, we'll use the walk-to-point behavior, which allows the avatar to walk to a target point, then set the target position to your liking. In this case, we'll need 2 target points to create a loop. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and test the NPC movement. Great! Now for the rotating logs. The rotating logs consist of a loop of the rotate behavior set to relative. I'm going to skip the step-by-step approach here, as I'm confident you've already gone through the fundamentals shown in earlier videos. If you haven't seen them yet, check the links. The behavior setup for the rotating logs goes like this. Next is the touch to open portal. It is simply a combination of an interact behavior and a portal spark. Finally, at the last stage where the player wins, we simply change the chapter when the sci-fi table is interacted with. Before doing this, let's create the second chapter. A chapter is Bonfire's term for a scene, so when I mention a chapter, I mean a scene. To create a scene or chapter, head over to the Chapters tab and hit the plus icon. Now let's rename the chapter to Space Landing. Don't forget to connect the previous chapter to the newly created chapter. Then, return to the Behaviors tab, go to the Modifiers drop-down list, select Change Chapter, and hit the plus icon. In the Change Chapter Behavior, set it to Space Landing. Simply connect the interacted behavior of the sci-fi table to change chapters. This will trigger the switch. It's as easy as pie. Wow, that was a lot. I hope you've learned the basic behaviors used in the Bonfire OnlyUp game. With Bonfire, you don't need any coding to make games. Your imagination is all that matters. I'm excited to see the games you'll create in the future. Until then, see you in the next videos where we'll dive into more complex behaviors. See ya!